Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Tap Room. And today we are doing adventure writing prep and campaign writing prep from a resource that I think is going to actually make your life easier as a game master. But before we get to that, let me just do the obligatory thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you've not subscribed, please do hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon and help me build the channel. But moving right along, I've seen tools in the past, like particularly in Stars Without Number, has these great tools for running organizations, cadres, organizations, what's happening to them behind the scenes that the players don't really see. And so you'll kind of do out like a 3-month time period of these are the moves that this organization's doing. And then here's the counter moves that are being done against it by other organizations. And so you work these things out. And I absolutely loved the Stars Without Number tools that was in Stars Without Number. But I've encountered a new tool, and I actually feel like it's a little bit better because this idea of managing the organizations behind the scenes that was proposed in Stars Without Number, it works for organizations, okay? And this new set of tools works a little differently. It does work with organizations, but it also works with things like the environment. What's going on with it, and it accounts for dangers to the player characters a little bit differently than the organizations that could be a danger to the player characters. And that's why I think this is really worth taking a look at. So the system that was presented to me was Dungeon World, which is an RPG. I was recommended this and I checked it out. I got the PDF. This is the color cover. I did not obtain the hard copy of the book, but I got the PDF and because I figured, well, that would be enough for me to check it out. So this is what the cover looks like. Going into the PDF, we want to be on page 186 is where fronts start. Now, fronts in this system come in two flavors. You have the adventure front and you have the campaign front. The adventure front is much more smaller, self-contained. It's easier to write up. It's easier to use. The campaign front's a little bit more involved, but it's just, the campaign front is the adventure front kind of on steroids a little bit, is probably the best way to describe it. Now, right off the bat, I discovered that this chapter I don't get the organization of the chapter because they're explaining what the two campaign front versus adventure front. And then you get into this creating fronts. And here's how fronts come together. You choose a campaign front or an adventure front. Create 2 to 3 dangers. Choose an impending doom for each danger. Add grim portents, 1 to 3 for an adventure front, 3 to 5 for campaign front. Write 1 to 3 stakes questions. Enlist the general cast. Here's what happened. I actually started writing a campaign front. And so I get into it. Now, up front, I'm going to be talking Star Frontiers. It's my go-to RPG, but this is totally adaptable to whatever system you're using. I'm going to be using Star Frontiers as an example. So those of you who are my Star Frontiers fans, you're probably going to enjoy this because my campaign front was the Volturnus campaign. Heavily familiar with it, so I thought, let's just try this out as a test with the Volturnus campaign. And so here's what happened is that you get into, all right, Volturnus, what are my dangers? And you have types of dangers are ambitious organizations, planner forces, arcane enemies, hordes, and cursed places. Obviously, this is written for fantasy. but easily adapted to sci-fi, not that big of a problem. So we go into types of dangers, and I started looking at what are my types of dangers. Well, in the Volturnus campaign, it would be very obviously the Star Devil pirates are a danger. The Sathar are a danger in that campaign, particularly towards the latter parts. Who else could be potentially? I thought Pan Galactic Corporation, because they're in cahoots with the pirates, so they should be a danger. So I wrote them in as a danger. But and I got thinking about it. Says, just maybe the Enora themselves, their board of 12 or whatever their board is that's overseeing the tattered remains of their civilization and has their great mission, they could potentially be a danger. So these were the kinds of things I was thinking with. And as I was getting in here and looking at it, when you look at ambitious organizations, let's see if we can blow this up a little bit more. And, right away, Thieves Guild, their impulse is to take by subterfuge. So you want to write down the danger. You want to write down what its impulse is. Thieves Guild, obviously, that's the pirates. They want to take by subterfuge. I was like, yeah. So it started out with that, but then I actually changed the Star Devil pirates to planar forces, from the planes. And excuse me, arcane enemies. And I went a different direction with them. But what happened is as I was writing this, you see this here, it goes GM moves for ambitious organizations. They don't tell you where GM moves fits in this whole process. So I got sidetracked into this. I started writing down the GM moves before I ever had a Doom, before I ever had a Grim Portents, before we went into the cast of characters. And so I kind of got sidetracked in it. And so for that reason, we're going to kind of step away from this document a little bit. And I actually reset this whole process with writing an adventure front. I says, let's step back and let's do this very carefully, step by step, as the book suggested there in that process. And we're going to go step by step with an adventure front. And we're going to use the article. Oh, I should pull that up. We're going to use this article from Polyhedron magazine, Encounters by David Zeb Cook. It's a one-page article, and it's an encounter that he wrote up for occurring on the planet Lako. And so let's just review this, and then we're going to take this and turn this into an adventure front. We're going to go through the process. And as we do that, you're going to say, that is pretty handy. This is a great way to conceptualize the adventure. And by doing this process, it actually kind of changes the material you're starting from. It will actually, to some degree, even change the Volturnus campaign, maybe make it a little fresher for your players, which would be a good thing, because it's a 40-year-old campaign. It's printed, everybody knows it. We know the plot, right? So here, you might not have seen this because this was squirreled away in the Polyhedron magazine. And not many people saw that, but there are Polyhedron archives of all these Polyhedron Star Frontiers articles. They exist on the web. If you Google looking for it, you can find it. If you talk to a knowledgeable Star Frontiersman, they can probably help you find it or just share it with you. So this is an encounter. This encounter occurs on the dry, windswept planet of Lako, an extremely inhospitable planet swept by great dust storms during long, dry days. A minimal amount of animal life on Lako lives around the edges of small, shallow seas that dot the planet. Poor in resources, the only feature of interest is a huge, deserted alien city built long past by a race known as the Tetrarchs. And so you have this character. His name is Raoul de Bonham. He's a member of the Pangalactic Corporation's Artifact Research and Development Team, the ARDT. And he is an assistant xenopalologist. And they give you his stats. These are pretty above average stats. They're not bad. And it's a pre-generated character, so it's okay for him to start with better than starting skills. He's starting with 3rd level psychosocial skill. And he's got a 1st level computer and 1st level environmental. No military skills, but he does carry a laser. He's fired it, I believe, 2 times from the context of what's written here, and the fact that he has 18 SEU remaining. So I would surmise that laser pistol has been set to 1 SEU per shot. We're then told he has a Polyvox. And then most interesting, now you got to remember, Zeb Cook designed this game, and then his Star Frontiers was taken away from him and redesigned by committee, and he's had no involvement in it ever since. And so the Polyvox, per the equipment list, we know is a computer. It's a language computer. But it's got a description, and it just do what it just do. And we never, ever, ever thought to load computer programs into it. But clearly here in Zeb Cook's mind, it was loadable with computer programs. So it's got a level 1, it's a level 1 computer. It's got a level 3 information storage program and a level 2 language program. Now, I find that interesting. It's completely different to how we have used Polyvoxes all this time. And I don't know that I would revamp, but it gives you an insight to Star Frontiers, how Zeb Cook would have managed this product if it had not been taken away from him and then redesigned by committee. And then we get these other characters here. Northru Farrider is an Ulmor, and we have his stat block, and then his Loper mount, and that stat block. And we're told that Raoul is a minor member of a team of experts sent to investigate the strange alien city. For several weeks now, he's been doing minor busy work, running calculations, cataloging facts, proofing maps, etc. Raoul had originally joined the expedition for fame and excitement. The work as of late has caused him to be thoroughly bored and disgusted. So he's not happy with Pangalactic Corporation. He's not happy with being on this team. Since work is light, he has taken the chance to slip away and explore an area beyond the ridge of hills to the west. None of the other members of the exploration team have ever crossed the ridge, and satellite maps showed absolutely nothing of interest. So why did he go there? No idea. It is late in the afternoon, and Raoul is hot, tired, hungry, thirsty, and lost, and he has been stumbling around for hours through the rock fields and dust pits, and he's had to defend himself on 2 occasions from savage-looking creatures. Far too late, he realizes that he should have brought food, water, and a communicator and a compass. And he curses himself for the fool that he is. Then he sees it before him. Topping the rise is an octopus-like creature riding a big lizard. Northru Farrider is an outcast, exiled from his tribe, captured by pirates on his home planet of Alternus, then taken off planet to be sold as an oddity. And he and his Loper managed to escape the pirates when the pirates landed here. Its hot and barren conditions make Northru feel at home. Northru distrusts all non-Ulmor, but knows that they are the key to him getting home. Then we go into the actions. Now, Raoul is clearly set up to be a first contact character. He has got psychosocial level 3, and he's got some really high stats. So, he is not set up to, shoot first and ask questions later. He is set up to ask questions first, uses empathy skill, uses communication skill. And this is an encounter all about starting communication with this Allmore. This Allmore has a problem. He has been outcast from his tribe, and I went back and reread the Allmore description in Crash on Volturnus. Most Allmore that become outcasts they die because they're very communal creatures. They're very bound to each other as touch telepaths. And so the outcast Allmore usually die fairly quickly. They don't survive long. And in fact, it even tells you in here that he is seeking the place of oneness. And I went trying to look that up. What is that exactly? And the Allmore God is the one who is many. And when you die, you become part of the one. So I think this place of oneness really is he's seeking a location on Volturnus where he can go to die and then become part of the one. I think that's his base quest here. Is he's really seeking death. He's cut off from his tribe. He's been cut off from his home world. He's been cut off from his God, effectively. And he must make a friend. And now you have this scientist, this Raoul de Bonham, and he's got a problem. He is in grave danger. So you have a situation where the two can save each other. And that suggests to me that they could come together kind of as a Han Solo and Chewbacca type of pairing. Will this Raoul character help Northru get back to Volturnus? Will he help him overcome being an outcast and be restored to his tribe? I don't know. I mean, is it possible? Because rereading the Allmore customs and racial and society, I don't even think that it's possible for an outcast to be restored to the tribe just from reading their legal system. So what's going to happen here? So this is the building blocks of this adventure front. So let's jump back over to choose the campaign or adventure front. I'm going to call this Lost Souls on Lako, because effectively both of these characters are lost. And there might actually be a third character who turns out to be lost in all of this. But so we've got a pre-gen character. The challenges are immediate threat to his life from the environment, potentially being hunted by those vicious creatures. So it said twice. And it looks to me either he had 2 power clips and he completely used one in driving off these vicious creatures. So 1 plus 2 shots out of the other, or he's just fired it once and drove off the vicious creatures, whatever they are. And then they came back and he fired again. So that, to me, he hasn't hit them. He's just driven them off, and he's wasted 2 SEU. It sounds to me like he could be being hunted. So you've got potentially being hunted. He's bored with his job, and he's relegated to a minor role. So there's no respect for him from the company that he keeps. And then you have the challenges for Northru. He's an outcast from his tribe. He was stolen from his world, and pirates plan to sell him to a circus sideshow. I'm going to guess that would have been in the Dramune system on Dark World Station, which orbits Outer Reach, which is a pirate haven. That would make sense to me, and so I'm going to just go with that in my thinking for this. So that's our adventure front. We're calling it the Lost Souls of Lako, which I think is a nice soul. It's got that nice lost, that alliteration to it. So the next job with these rules from Dungeon World is create dangers. Now, in there, we've got pirates, we've got the environment. They talk about the environment being a danger, and I'm going to add Pan Galactic Corporation. The artifact research and development team, um, they're there as scientists to do this thing, but I'm imagining that maybe somebody on that team sees an opportunity to take this touch telepath and take him prisoner and bring him to a lab to be studied. Because touch telepathy, well, geez, that would be a great scientific um, thing. Pan Galactic Corporation is sometimes painted as, it's the company, it's the man, it's the aggressive corporation that, amoral corporation. It just does what it does, and it doesn't care about people, or it doesn't care about. It's not going to care about Northru. He's a alien stripped from his world, and he's lost on the frontier. But he represents a resource. Ooh, touch telepathy. We should study that. That could be an important advancement in science. So I'm going to include Pan Galactic Corporation as a danger here. And as I went through those dangers, I've chosen ambitious organization for the pirates with the impulse to take by subterfuge. And then for the environment as a danger, I chose the one that was called Shadowland, and its impulse is to corrupt or consume the living. In other words, this is just a dry desert that's going to kill you. There's just the hazards of the environment, the dehydration, but then the wild animals are slowly stalking, waiting for their chance, waiting for the easy kill to kill and consume Raoul. So we've then put the environment in as the Shadowland with the impulse to corrupt and consume the living. And Pan Galactic Corporations, it's a ambitious organization, but it's misguided. It's misguided with concerning what's good, and so their impulse is to do right no matter what the cost. As a scientist, we must, for the greater good, we must study this touch telepath. Doesn't matter what the greater good is for the touch telepath, or that you're trampling his rights as a sapient creature. But it's for the greater good. So that's what I've put in here. So the next step is choose an impending doom. So, and actually, it's funny because impending doom actually comes towards the end of the chapter. It's so out of whack when you go through there. But so I chose the impending doom. Looking through the list, I chose enslavement. Northru was sold to a circus sideshow exhibit on Dark World Station, and impending doom for Raoul, sent to the mines on Volturnus, the mines that the pirates are exploiting, the vibranium and the other, not vibranium, tormarillium, and another one begins with a V, not vibranium. That's from the Marvel universe. But I have, in the second Volturnus module, the player characters can capture all that mined ore. It's got weird names. We don't know what it really is. I have in my setting hand wave that those two ores are melted down and turned into an alloy, and that's federadium. And federadium is what's used for the hulls of starships because it's got properties for screening out radiation, and so that's what's really facilitated interstellar travel in the frontier, is that these starship hulls are made from this really space magic-y kind of alloy called federanium, which we know exists in the frontier. We don't know what it does, but that's what I've done with it. So he could be sent to those mines where the pirates have enslaved a bunch of people, and they use them to mine that ore for them in the Volturnus modules. So that was an impending doom, and it matched Northru's enslavement. The environment with dehydration and hostile creatures, it's to consume the living. It's just destruction, death by dehydration and or eaten by wild creatures is the impending doom. And then the PGC, because their impulse is to do right no matter the cost, their doom is the usurpation by the security chief. He's the security chief is looking to climb the corporate ladder. And so they're either going to fire Raoul if he sticks up for Northru, or even kill him, take Northru to a PGC lab to study for the touch telepathy. And, the security chief is looking to fast track, for a fast track to the executive position. So that's the impending doom here. The next step after you have an impending doom is you write, add grim portents, 1 to 3 per adventure. Now the grim portents are, you check these off when they happen. And as you check these off, you get closer to that impending doom and the resolution of this adventure front. And so for writing out the grim portents, which actually in the chapter comes before the impending doom section, even though you choose an impending doom first. I went with, for grim portents for the pirates, they're hunted by a team. They're hunting to recapture Northru. And because I imagined that there was one pirate who just kind of, maybe he had the touch telepathy contact with Northru, felt a little sorry for him, didn't quite do his job, and nod and a wink, let Northru get away. Well, he's being blamed, and so he's been sent out to hunt Northru down and get him back, or something bad's going to happen to him. So there's a pirate team being sent out. A grim portent would be returned to the pirate vessel. For the environment, you have a dehydration effect. Negative effects on the characters due to dehydration, and then surrounded by Lacosian lions, Maui, or Lacosian hounds. I happen to know that all 3 of these creatures were designed by fans to inhabit the Lacosian environment. So I just threw those 3 words in there. I will look up a suitable, I will go look at all of these fan creations and pick one of them. So that was a grim portent that's surrounding by them coming in. The PGC teams with their misguided good impulse, their grim portents would be the Loper is put down by the security personnel. The Northru is taken prisoner, and potentially Raoul could be traded to the pirates. That the security team leader, she is looking to climb that corporate ladder. She's willing to negotiate with the pirates. So, all right, listen, hey, take this guy. I'll pay you some money. I'll give you this. That there's a negotiation that could go on. I'm keeping the touch telepath creature. We want to study him. And so the pirates would negotiate. And so there's a grim portent trading Raoul to the pirates to get rid of him, to shut him up. So, because nobody's going to know about this touch telepath if Raoul's gone. So the next step was to write some stakes questions. Now, one of the things that's important here is about these stakes is that you have to see what happens. You have to play it out to see what happens. And so you're writing these questions from the perspective of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in this. And so I wrote, just brainstorming here, will Raoul and Northru bond as friends and or family? Because that could really solve their problems. Raoul bonding with Northru would be, he'd find adventure trying to get Northru back to Volturnus. Northru he's bereft of his family, friends, his tribe. If he suddenly got new family, that would help solve a bit of his problem. Will Raoul help Northru return home and navigate the dangers of the frontier? And will Raoul leave PGC? Now, these are what I thought up at this point. At another stage in this, I thought of two more stakes questions that are actually a little bit better than some of these, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So then next, you write a general cast for the front. So I figured, well, number one, we need a pirate captain. And I named the pirate captain Tixik, a Versk male. And they've ordered, and I named the pirate who has been sent to go hunt down Northru, Randy. And in my mind, he is a bit of Shaggy meets Scooby-Doo, mixed Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. He's a well-meaning screw-up. And he is blamed. He allowed or he is blamed for Northru escaping, and he is tasked with getting him back. Along with him, keeping an eye, is another pirate called Knuckles. Knuckles is a Drollicite neuter who likes using brass knuckles, and it's because, like all Drollicites, they tend to have higher strength. He has really high strength. He's got an 80 strength. So if he punches you with those brass knuckles, it's D10 for the brass knuckles, plus 5 for his punch score. So it's a real, nailing you. So I just thought that would be a fun character, and that he would have melee skill at level 3 to use his brass knuckles, and that he'd have first level laser skill, and he does carry a laser. And it's expected for Randy to get a point blank laser shot to the forehead, but Knuckles will beat him with the brass knuckles because Knuckles likes his brass knuckles. And that's his preferred way of fighting, which could leave Randy alive, but on death's door, left for dead in the sands of Laco. So in effect, this title of Lost Souls on Laco could apply to Randy. Will he become a lost soul by being fully integrated into the pirates with no morals, willing to just use people and abuse people, same as the rest of the pirates? Or will he be a lost soul left for dead, bleeding in the sands? So I thought that was a nice little interesting tie-in to my adventure front title. The ARDT team should have a lead scientist, Dr. Moreau, with a non-standard spelling. He's a Drollicite neuter. He has a team of 8 scientists and an assistant that manages logistics. There's a security team chief. I named her Adele Waymer, a human female. She manages the safety of the team and has as a team of 2 guards. She is looking to move up in PGC. And by delivering a touch telepath to the research division, that would up her cred in the organization. So my new stakes questions are, will Knuckles leave Randy bloody in the sands of Laco? And will Adele climb the corporate ladder? These are interesting questions to see if they play out. So now the final step that's not actually in that list is I'm now assigning moves for the Danger, GM moves that the Danger would employ. And that's where I got sidetracked when I first looked at this material and of doing that last here. So my moves for the pirates are to attack and recapture Northru and the Loper. And then one of the moves listed is that they would negotiate. And so I've put here negotiate with Adele. The environment has a move. The only move I really came up for the environment to do was a sandstorm. Sandstorm could be a great move, which would force everybody in all the parties to hunker down for the duration of the sandstorm. The PGC moves are stealthily take Northru prisoner, negotiate with pirates, and kill Raoul if necessary. And then I recompiled my list of stakes questions here to a full 5 list, but some of these could be thrown out. I think some of the first ones, like the first 2, could be just combined. it's obvious if Raoul and Northru bond as friends and family, Raoul's going to help his friends and family. That just kind of almost goes without saying. So that is an adventure front using the David Zeb Cook material from Polyhedron. Let's jump over to my worksheet for the Volturnus campaign. I never finished filling this out because what happened was, like I said, I got sidetracked because things were out of order. But I just want to show you here for the Volturnus campaign, I've included pirates again. This is the Star Devil pirates, but no longer are they an ambitious organization. They are arcane enemies. And I went through the list of arcane enemies, and I grabbed Power Mad Wizard, whose impulse is to seek powerful artifacts, and I've written in of the Enora. Because I was thinking about the Dragon Magazine article called The Volturnus Connection. And in there, the Star Devil is actually the CEO of this corporation called Miner, who faked his own kidnapping and then murder. And why would he do that? I've always thought, why would he do that? It doesn't make sense that it's not a, there just doesn't seem to be a good reason why he did that. Well, revisiting that, I think he's done that. He wanted to slip away, and he's interested in recovering artifacts of the Enora. Like a mad, he's gone this whole mad scientist route, mad wizard route, seeking these powerful artifacts. And so he wants to keep the Pale government out of Volturnus. He's learned about Volturnus, but he wants to keep the Pale government out. And that's why the first Volturnus survey expedition was attacked by the Star Devil pirates, which he controls. And then the second Volturnus survey expedition is also likewise attacked by the pirates. But his real purpose is he's there. He's got the pirates doing what they do because he's using PGC. PGC's using him. He's delivering the ore to PGC. They're supplying him with weapons and equipment and ships, and helping run interference with the Pale government. And so that's part of his purpose. So his moves are to learn forbidden knowledge. And I was also thinking about the Villains of Volturnus Endless Quest book. In there, you have pirates, and they're kind of hiding out in an abandoned Enora city. And so I was thinking about that. I says, this Star Devil, he's not always at that main pirate town where the prisoners that are doing the mining are kept. That's because he's looking for these artifacts. He's digging. He's trying to uncover. He's doing the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, trying to get those artifacts in this quest for power. He might not be fully, straight up here. He might be a little keyed. That's okay. So he's out to learn forbidden knowledge, to sabotage the Pale government and the UPF from exploring the Zebulon system. And he's willing to, one of his other moves, he's willing to tempt someone with promises. That would be the player characters, trying to tempt them with, power. He's trying to. So that would actually be a fun role-play encounter. Trying to tempt the player characters. The powerful artifacts and so on and so forth. So I think that would be great. And so you see here that I never got around to writing the Doom because I got sidetracked with that list of GM moves, which is right there next to the arcane enemies, list as a danger. And then I went right into the cast, the Star Devil himself, obviously. PGC is an ambitious organization, but this time they're the Cabal with the impulse to seize power. The impending doom I did write, they're seeking tyranny. Their grim portents are to quietly obtain Federanium to build starships. The next grim portent is to depose Chang Kim Lee, the CEO of PGC. So we've got an executive vice president who's working and moving and plotting here. And part of her plot, part of what she's after is to depose. She wants to, one, build a fleet of ships with the Federatium. Two, she wants to depose the CEO. That's part of her plan. And then three, wipe out Space Fleet and seize control of the UPF. This is early on after the formation of the UPF. So it's a fledgling government, and it's not an established government with an established military. So this is, to me, this seems justified as a plot point. Her moves are to destabilize the claim of the Pale government on the Zebulon system and to claim the resources of Volturnus by proxy. So for my cast, I wrote in a name here of Miri Tor, human female, executive vice president of development. She's an ambitious cutthroat with her eye on the seat of the CEO. And then I got thinking about it. I says, I should take Adele Waymer, the security operative from the adventure front, and port her over to here. She's a rising executive. She'd be a good cast member to put in here. So I brought Adele Waymer over here, and I might change Miri Tor to be a male, human male. So we're not bashing on the human females left and right. So I'll consider changing that name. Now the Sathar, obvious enemy. And as I looked at the types of enemies, the types of dangers, I went with planar forces. And under planar forces, I went with Elemental Lord with the impulse to tear down creation to its component parts, because that's the Sathar, man. They just want to destroy. They're an implacable enemy. And if they can't destroy outright, they seek to subvert so that they can later destroy. So I thought, this is great. I never got around to writing the Doom, but I did get Grim Portents written here. So one of the Grim Portents was to turn the Red Devil. They wanted, the Star Devil. That shouldn't be red. It should be Star. S-T-A-R. Star Devil. To use the Star Devil to disrupt the UPF commerce and to lure the fledgling UPF fleet into a trap at Zebulon, which would be that battle of Volturnus, that space battle that's just kind of happens off stage in the modules. And then there's a battle outside of the gates of Volkos, a ruined Enora city. So I just thought, yeah, that's the goal here. That's their goal. So they want to turn the Star Devil, make the Star Devil a Sathar agent, part of their overall plot. Their moves are to subvert the again, I wrote Red Devil. It should be Star Devil pirates. Destabilize the UPF with the pirates. Suck the UPF forces into a trap and attack when the moment is right. And then cast. I was like, what do I do for a cast for the Sathar? Because Sathar rarely even have names. And I thought, oh, you have that tubed Sathar brain. It's got to be like 900 years old, and it's been in that tube, in that monolithic pyramid obelisk. That's the monitoring station for this that the Sathar left behind on Volturnus. I thought that could be a cast. So I've not really worked on the cast here, but so that's where I was going with this. But as you can see, I started with this, with that chapter, and I got sidetracked into doing things that were like way down on the list and not doing things that were at the top of the list just because of the way that chapter was laid out. But even with that criticism, I think this is a great product to use that, at the very least, get a copy of the PDF and use the front system from it for your adventure writing. Because now this campaign front for Volturnus, this is something to play with. There's a lot of stuff happening here. You may not play out the Volturnus campaign exactly the way it's written. And this is really refreshing. This sounds very, very refreshing to me. There's a lot of, especially this idea of the Star Devil trying to tempt the player characters. I have powerful artifacts. And you certainly would want to lean into the whole writing up a bunch of weird ancient artifacts left behind by the Enora. For instance, there is in the pages of the Frontier Explorer the Enora Solar Lantern. I invented that, so that's how I know it's there. And it was this odd artifact. It doesn't do a lot, but it's kind of interesting in that it does do some stuff, and we can't explain how it does it because it's weird science. And so I thought, there's a starting point, the Enora Solar Lantern, and maybe create another 6 or 7 of these ancient Enora artifacts to go along with this campaign. That would certainly be something I'd want to do. So you can see how these campaign fronts work. With that adventure front, I used the environment. So, if I was using Stars Without Numbers rules for managing organizations in the background, those rules don't cover including the environment of LACO as a danger. And that's why this system's more interesting to me, is because it allowed me to include hostile environment, cursed, or, as the Dungeon World rules call it, cursed ground. And some of those, categories of cursed ground, I thought were really interesting, doing different things. And I was like, ooh, I'm looking for opportunities to use some of these other things. So I highly recommend Dungeon World. Very much worth at least getting the PDF. This front system that they promote, absolutely fabulous way of doing adventure prep. It's not the classic way, and it actually, I think it frees you up, because you don't have to be like, I've got to draw a map and I got to detail everything in every room, every trap, every monster, everything. I can run that adventure from that adventure front, and I don't have to have a ton of maps and a ton of material prepared. I've got plots and stuff, and if the players don't take care of something, then bad stuff happens. Some of those portents happen. Oh, that thing has happened in the background. And, so it's, and then going over to the Volturnus campaign, I can run that campaign from that campaign front. And there's a lot of content there for running that game. And I don't have to be tied to the modules. I can kind of gloss over some of those wonkier encounters that were in the modules, or I can use them. I can intersperse, those all of the content from the modules into that new campaign front, and still run it for the players. And it's still going to be fresh, because negotiating with the Star Devil, and he's trying to tempt you, lure you with his power, and you just know that he's not the sharing type. He's the backstabbing type. That sounds like fun to me. That sounds like a fun role-play encounter. So this is Tom for Tabletop Taproom, checking out the front system from Dungeon World. I really think this has got legs. This is really a different way of approaching adventure design and setting up stuff, moving around the players, irrespective of what the players are doing. And some of these things will have consequences to come back to haunt the players. So that's my 2 cents on this. Dungeon World front system, worth checking it out. I think it can radically change your game. So thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great, and keep on gaming.